Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first live event of our first ever virtual Veteran Expo for the Honor Rewards Program here at the Ottawa County Register of Deeds Office. My name is Justin Roebuck. I'm the Ottawa County Clerk and Register of Deeds. And for our first kickoff live event, I'm really happy to be joined this morning by Jennifer Lamb of the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. Jennifer is the strategic outreach coordinator for the agency. She is also a veteran herself. She's a Marine Corps veteran. And for those of you who don't know, the MVAA is essentially a state government department housed under the Michigan Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. And they are really the central agency responsible for coordinating care, support, and providing assistance to Michigan veterans and their families. So we're really, really happy to have Jennifer joining us this morning just to share a little bit about the services provided and ways that the MVAA can support and help veterans here in our community as well. And Jennifer is willing to take questions too at the end of this. So for those of you who are joining live this morning on the webinar, there is a chat feature. And feel free to, a Q&A feature. So feel free to use that Q&A feature. We'll definitely be happy to field any questions this morning. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Jennifer. Thank you again for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here today, Justin. There's nothing I like better than talking to veterans, about veterans, and sharing some of the things that we do at MVAA. So I'm going to throw up some slides to kind of keep me on track here. We're going to talk a little bit about what does MVAA do and how you can connect to Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency and ways to really help veterans connect to the services and the benefits that they've earned and deserve. So first, I'm just going to tell you what my plans are for this morning. So I'll tell you a little bit about who I am. I'll talk a little bit about why it's important to connect veterans and their eligible family members to benefits and to resources. And I'm going to give just a real broad picture of what benefits and resources are out there so that we can start getting veterans and their families to connect to these resources. A little bit about who I am. So again, my name is Jennifer Lamb. I'm the Strategic Outreach Manager over at MVAA. What that means is we have very specific places where we try to help veterans identify, help connect veterans to benefits, and really focus on ways to make veterans in the state of Michigan successful and find this to be a place that they're going to grow old and retire and live. I am a Marine Corps veteran, which shouldn't have been a shock to anybody, but was a shock to my family. My sister and her husband both served in the Army National Guard. My father was in the Navy during Vietnam. Both of my grandfathers served in World War II. I'm a multi-generational veteran, and yet I'm also a non-traditional veteran. You can see in this picture down here in the middle, it's one of my favorite pictures. When I left the Marine Corps, I left with another Marine who became my husband and who I have created a beautiful family with. I've been told that I look just like everybody else, so I threw up a couple of circles so you can see what I looked like when I was young. Joining the service for anybody is a life-changing event. It changes you to your core, and when you leave the service, there's a change that veterans carry with them. And it's really important that we address that, think about that, and focus on that, because these veterans, these individuals, these men and women who serve the country through their military service did earn benefits and services that we owe them. And it's really important to make sure that they are connected to those benefits and services. So I mentioned that I'm with the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. Hopefully people that are on this call or watching this video at a later time know what MVAA is. But if you don't, we are a central coordinating agency, and our whole purpose is to connect veterans with the services and the benefits that they've earned. We have this vision that Michigan is a beautiful place to be. It has all of the natural resources. It has booming industry. It's a place that we think veterans should choose to live, raise a family, work, and retire. I know when I look at Ottawa County, it's beautiful. It should be a place that people think about when they're thinking about where they're going to live. So what are some of the services that MVAA offers? The first thing that you'll know about MVAA is the Michigan Veterans Trust Fund. If anybody out there doesn't know what the Michigan Veterans Trust Fund is, this was an organization that is in the Michigan Constitution, was chartered 75 years ago. It can offer grants to veterans who meet certain criteria. That criteria is honorable discharge, had served 180 days during a period of war, and have a financial need. These are the veterans in the community who we know and love. They're members of the community and they're roof fellows, and they need help fixing that roof. Or they're the veteran that you've seen and is maybe the parent of a child in your classroom and their car broke down and they need help getting their car fixed. They can be connected to the Michigan Veterans Trust Fund and apply for and get consideration for receiving financial help through those situations. MVA also offers discharge document retrieval services. When you serve in the military and you leave, most people know you're given a DD-214 and you're told, hold on to this because this is your proof of service for the rest of your life. When you go into a clerk's office, they will ask for your DD-214 to help you connect to services. Some people lose those. Sometimes they're lost in floods or fires, or sometimes it's not until a young adult is a little bit older that they realize, oh, I should have really held on to this. MVAA can help retrieve those documents for you. And we actually can do it much quicker than the federal services can. There's a resource service center at MVAA. You can connect to it very easily. 800 MISHVET will connect you to somebody that works in our resource service center. This is our catch-all. If you are a veteran, if you are a veteran family, and you think that you have benefits, if you need your discharge document retrieval, if you have concerns or questions, or even if you're just looking for another veteran in your community to connect with, you can call 800 MISHVET. And our purpose at the Veteran Resource Service Center is to connect veterans to each other, to services, to problem solve, and to do some case management if necessary. Michigan also has several state veteran homes. When we talk about the services and the benefits that veterans have and that veterans have earned, the state veteran homes is one of these things that is really important to know, because a state veteran home is for somebody who needs advanced medical care, advanced nursing skills, and can be connected to one of these homes to help their families. I think I've probably said connecting veterans to services about 700 times right now, and I'm probably going to say it another 700 times because it is important. And I want to stress why it is so important. Service matters. The fact that we have a volunteer, and sometimes we had a not volunteer military organization to keep this country, the beautiful country that it is. Service matters, and respecting that service and paying back to that service is important. Supporting veterans families. We know and we love the fact that veterans tend to be hardworking, loyal, really industrial individuals, and can bring a lot into a community, both through the economics that they can bring into a community, and also to the fact that I like to think that veterans are pretty great people to be around. And, you know, I will stress again, it's not just veterans, but it's also their families that are really important. You'll notice the slide that I threw up about myself had me with several women, both of those that I had served with, but also my family. Because when a veteran serves, as I mentioned, it is a life-changing event. My children are proud veteran children, and it's something that affects the entire family when somebody has service in their life. So what's out there? So much. There are so many benefits and so many opportunities in the state of Michigan for veterans. Our goal, again, is to make sure that veterans know about those. Some of the big things that people think about when they think about veterans is they can think about veteran healthcare. We know that there are VA hospitals. Many people think, oh, okay, veterans, they get healthcare and they get support for any medical needs. Veterans also get support for advanced education. Their families can get support for advanced education. There's a lot of employment opportunities for veterans, and not just connecting veterans with employment, but connecting veterans with meaningful employment and making sure that the employers that are hiring veterans actually know the value that veterans bring into their businesses. I'm going to give some highlight pictures, but as I had mentioned, this will not be all inclusive. I'll give some examples of what veterans can connect to, and maybe it will spur some thoughts in some of the people that are out there in Ottawa County to say, wait, maybe I do have some benefits that I can connect to. Veteran healthcare. There are federal health benefits available to veterans. If you are a service member that's separated under any condition other than dishonorable, you may be eligible for federal health benefits. Reservists and guardsmen that have served on active duty may also qualify for this. You can check to see if you qualify for veteran benefits in a whole series of ways. There's forms you can fill out, you can call, you can apply online, you can apply in person, you can apply by mail. If you're not sure where to start, you're going to hear this number a couple of times. You can always call 800-MISH-VET, and you can talk to a local veteran service officer who can find out what your status is as a veteran or a veteran family and start connecting you to some of the federal health benefits that are available. There are also very specific benefits for mental health for veterans. One of the things that I encourage people to put in their phone, every single person, whether you're a veteran or you're not a veteran, is the Veteran Crisis Line. And the reason why I encourage people to plug this number, this 1-800 number, into your phone, is it can kind of help destigmatize the need for somebody calling to get help. If I'm talking to somebody and they are in a crisis, or if they are expressing concerns where they need to speak to somebody in mental health, if I hand them my phone and say, hey, I have this number programmed into my phone, we can call it together. Why don't you program it into your phone? It's a really nice way to encourage people to reduce the stigma of asking for help. There are also centers all across the state of Michigan, veteran centers, vet centers that provide services for veterans and their families who are looking for counseling, outreach, connection, services specific to spouses. Again, if you're unsure of how to connect to those services, you can call 800-MISH-VET and we can help with that. Why do we talk about health first? Because there's many service-connected presumptive conditions that veterans have been exposed to. And almost anybody that is either on this call today or watching this video has heard of some of these. We know that some of the exposures that veterans have had through their deployments or through their service has a negative impact on their health. And I know that those things, it's extremely unfortunate that veterans have gotten exposed to that. And it's extremely important that the United States has offered services and knows that these are exposures that they can help veterans seek medical care for. There's a few things up here that I just threw up for some of the presumptive condition examples. Again, this is not comprehensive. This is a few examples of some of the things to spur in any veteran or veteran family's mind of if you have a veteran that was exposed, for example, to Agent Orange. They need to be connected to their services. They need to be able to receive healthcare benefits to battle some of the exposures that they've had. There's a range of issues that it's important that if a veteran is experiencing any of these, they get connected to their benefits. If they think they've been exposed to any of these, they get connected to their benefits. Can't stress enough, this is not all inclusive. So what do you do for healthcare benefits? If you think you might be eligible, if you served in the military, if you were Guard or Reserve and you served on active duty for a period of time, if you think that you have any presumptive healthcare conditions, if you think, even for a second, that you might be eligible for healthcare benefits, please call, please connect. These are services and benefits that were created specifically for veterans. You can call 800-MISH-VET. You can to be connected to a local veteran service officer. These are individuals who are specifically trained and certified to help veterans connect to their services. If you're watching this and you know a veteran, encourage them to connect to their services. One of the things that's really fascinating about veterans is they're independent. I'm not saying this about myself, maybe about my husband, but they're strong-willed. And often they don't ask for help. Often people think that these services are for somebody else, or maybe I don't deserve them as much as the guy that lives next door to me or the gal that lives down the street from me. But if you served, you have earned these benefits. And we want to make sure that people are connected to those. Not just talking about healthcare, let's talk about some of the other benefits that are available to veterans and their families. Education is a wonderful stepping stone for someone who is leaving the service and wanting to reconnect to being a successful, productive citizen. I personally used my Montgomery GI Bill when I was going through college back in the day. I finished my service, and when I left the military, I then used my post 9/11 GI Bill to go through graduate school. I'm a licensed social worker, and I was able to go through graduate school because of the service that I had. Had I not wanted to use that benefit for myself, you can also, while you're still serving, turn those benefits over to your children so that they have the ability to use those benefits. There are a range of ways to connect veterans to higher education, whether it is going to graduate school, whether it is going to a skill school, whether it is credentialing or finding a way to use everything that you learned as a service member of being disciplined, being extremely intelligent and really motivated to learn what's going on in your environment. You can use all of those for an advanced education. Employment in Michigan is key. It does me no good to be a proud Michigan veteran if I can't put food on my table. It does me no good to identify as being a proud Michigan veteran if my employer doesn't understand what that means. And so we really work hard through MVAA to make sure that there are veteran-friendly employers across the state. The Veteran-Friendly Employer Program makes sure that employers from all levels understand the value that veterans bring, whether they are the CEOs of the company or whether they're the person just coming into the company and starting their second career, making sure that the value that veterans bring is known. There are entrepreneurship programs. There are licensing and credentialing programs available to veterans and their families through the state of Michigan through LARA. There's various ways to make sure that veterans and their families are connected to not just employment, but meaningful employment to help them be successful as some of the most successful veterans or residents in the state of Michigan. I think I'll say it again. If you think you qualify for these benefits, if you are a veteran, if you are a service member thinking of transitioning out of the service and Michigan is where your destination is, if you are a spouse, if you are a child of a service member or veteran, if you think that you might have the ability to connect to these benefits, call 800-MISH-VET. If you are currently enrolled in a skill school, a college, a university, or any other school, you can also check to see if they have a veteran service connection there, and they can help connect you to services and to benefits if you didn't already get connected to them. When I'm trying to kind of wrap this up, I hope that I've made it clear of a couple of things. there are benefits and resources out there in the state of Michigan and federally for veterans, service members, and the people who love them. Not connecting to these benefits and services really is a disservice to what veterans have given to serving when they were serving. It's a disservice to your neighbors and your community. Again, if you know somebody in your community who's a veteran, a nice way to start that conversation is to say, I heard you were a veteran. I just watched this webinar. I know there's a lot of services in the state of Michigan. Are you connected to any of those? Because it would be an honor to me to make sure that you were connected to those. How do we connect veterans to services in the state of Michigan? A great first step is really truly calling 800-MICHVET. We have technicians that can walk through with a veteran and make sure that they can talk about some of the services and benefits that are available. And they can also start that path to connect them to the services and benefits that are available to them. Now, I was told when I started this with Justin, he had told me, okay, so try to keep it around 30 minutes so we can open it up for questions. I've left a little bit of time for you, Justin. So let's see if there's any questions out there on what I've shared so far.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Jennifer. That was really good and really helpful, actually. Helpful for us too in our office, because through the Honor Rewards program, a lot of times we're talking with vets over the phone or maybe at our counter, and some of these questions come to us, and quite often we're referring them on to you guys, of course, but it's really helpful just to know some of those basics. So
and one of the things that I can tell you, because when you're talking to somebody on the phone, you don't know what they look like. As you and I had talked before we started this, not everybody that sees me says, that is a Marine Corps veteran, I can tell. And so the thing that I encourage everybody, if you are a service provider of any sort in the state of Michigan, if you have somebody who you refer to as a customer, a client, to ask, do you or has anybody in your family ever served in the military? Is a great way to start that question. And it doesn't get reserved for the people that look like my husband. Or the person that calls on the phone and identifies that way. Often it's having that conversation to encourage people to identify.
That's such a good point. Yeah, I think that's really valuable, and just kind of recognizing there is such a huge community out there, of support, community that has been touched in so many ways by veterans service, and that's a really good point.
So I did see in the questions that there's a question about widows and widowers and how to get them connected with services. Do you mind if I address that real quick, Justin?
Please do. Yeah, appreciate it.
So that is such a great question. I'm not quite sure who asked that, but I do hope if you are going through this that you do connect to services. There are a range of services available to widows and widowers. I would need another 30 minutes to go through this. I don't think you have time to give those to me. But there's many services to those who might have had a spouse who was a prisoner of war, who died in battle, who was injured in battle, who even served honorably and left the service. There are available resources out there. I apologize, my PowerPoint presentation didn't have any of those on there, but to this attendee who asked this question, please call 800-MICHVET. I feel like I'm running like one of those tele services, but call, explain your situation, because there's a lot of services that they can connect you with.
Well, that's a really, really good point. And I know earlier we had a question, I think on our social media in regards to loan services available to veterans too. I guess I'm certainly not aware of all of the options, but I know obviously the most common is the VA loan, probably for home mortgages, but there are also other loan services or discounted loan services available. Is that right?
Absolutely. So, there is the VA homeowner opportunity. That's a federal program. I've used it myself. It gives an opportunity for veterans to buy a home, and it secures that loan without a down payment. So it's a really great way to move into a home that's appropriate for you, even if you haven't been able to save up those my dad told me to save like $40,000. I don't know how you save up that kind of money to buy a house. So it is a way to help veterans kind of start and move forward. There are also, specifically in the state of Michigan, veterans who are 100% disabled can apply to get relief on their homeowners, their annual taxing. And so there are a lot of ways to make sure that, the goal is to make sure that everybody has a home and has a roof over their head. And that if you had service to this country, that there's ways that you can keep that home over your head. So there are ways to get tax, I'm not going to use the right word. I want to say deferments, but that's not the right word. To get taxable exemptions on your home.
That makes sense. Very helpful. Now, thanks for covering that. I guess one question that I had too, and not sure if you're able to answer this briefly, but COVID has affected so much of our lives, and the pandemic has affected all of our communities in so many different ways. Have there been any direct impacts in terms of veterans getting access to services, or how has that changed your operation in terms of outreach even to veterans and their families?
Talk about a way to pivot on our heels and find new ways to support people. COVID became a challenge for everybody from your office to my office. And we know that it affects veterans and it affects various individuals in a slew of ways. When COVID became something that we were all saying comfortably and we understood what it meant, MVAA has developed a Food for Vets program. Veterans in all communities across the state of Michigan can receive a food-only gift card for $100 to go to their local market. It's a one-time card for veterans, but it is an opportunity to offset a little bit of that because there is a financial hit that many people have taken. Some of the other things that I know specifically for COVID is MVAA has been working with various communities to have vaccination clinics for those that are seeking the COVID vaccine. There's also conversations with people who are apprehensive about seeking the COVID vaccine and making sure that people are making choices that are right for them and for their families as well. I think we're all very hopeful that we might be coming out on the other side at this point. And so now what our teams are doing are working really hard with our veteran-friendly schools to make sure that they're ready for people that might have been displaced and decided that now is the time to go back to school, that they're ready to connect veterans and their families to the benefits and some of the financial benefits that will help them be successful in school. We're working really aggressively with the veteran-friendly employers. There were unfortunately a lot of layoffs across the state and across the country. There was a lot of people who were furloughed. There was a lot of people who have changed jobs. And again, finding the employers who are focused on finding individuals who are, dedicated, hard workers, and really I like to think some of the funniest and savviest people out there, helping them find veterans and connect them to positions are some of the things that we're doing. We're hoping we're coming out on the other side and trying to get everybody ready for that. Another thing that we consistently do is we have a check on my vet program, where if there's a veteran in your community you haven't seen for a while, the sweet old lady down the street or the kind old gentleman that you just haven't heard from, you can reach out to us and we can do a warm call to that individual and make sure everything's going okay. We have a buddy to buddy program that connects trained, passionate veterans with veterans who might be struggling going through the system, as an opportunity just to be the person that's on the phone like you and I are today saying, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have you call this person. We're going to jot down what times you call because they don't always answer right away. And they can help coach them and encourage them through the process.
That is so cool. Yeah, I think that, it's amazing just how many services there are and how many opportunities.
They mean nothing, Justin, if we don't connect people to them.
Yeah.
And, it's also an opportunity. MVA is always this organization that is looking to see what opportunities are available to serve veterans. But you're absolutely right. There are so many that it becomes overwhelming, so many benefits and services for veterans. There's somebody to help navigate through that system, but it means nothing if we don't get veterans to identify as being a proud veteran and to connect with those services.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really, really helpful. We actually just got another question that came in, if you have a second to answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How do I transfer my education benefits to my children? So is there a way for a veteran to transfer education benefits there?
So I cautioned, I will let the person who asked this know, I had cautioned Justin that I would be able to answer some questions really well and some questions not so well. So this is a question that we do have an education analyst on our team that would answer this flawlessly and would yell at me that I'm going to stumble over this. I know that there are benefits that can be transferred. I don't quite know how they are transferred. It's my understanding that they have to be transferred while you are still actively serving. So whoever that questioner is, if there's someone who is actively serving still, I believe that you can transfer those services to your children. The reason why I don't know the answer to that is when I was actively serving, I didn't have children. I waited until I left, and sometimes these benefits really well because you've used them, and sometimes that they're there, but you don't really know how to plug into them. So I'm sorry to your questioner, I don't have a great answer for that, but I do know that there are people that have great answers for that. It's just not me. So if you want to call in, you can ask to be connected to our education analyst, and they can help you with that.
1-800-MISHVET, right?
I feel like I'm running a marathon, which, and the reason why that comes up is it is a place to start. And we want to make sure that people that don't know where to start, I got you covered. Here's where you start.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, again, Jennifer, thank you so much. We're really grateful, to have you on here, and thank you for your service as well. I think it's valuable to, continually just be grateful for all of those people who've given.
It was and is my greatest pleasure. So thank you so much for that. I'm so thrilled that your agency is doing something like this to try to get the word out there to veterans. So, let us know in the next one too.
Well, we sure will. Yeah, it's an honor for us to be involved too. And again, just want to remind everyone too, we're going to be posting this on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. You can find us Ottawa County Clerk Register. Also on our website, specifically for the Expo, miottawa.org/honor awards. And again, 1-800-MISHVET if you do have any direct questions that MVAA can help with. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you, Jennifer, for being here as well. And we hope you guys will tune into the rest of today's events in the virtual expo.
Thanks so much, everybody, for having me.